North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer. Senator, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. I know that you have personally met with Pete Hegseth earlier this week. What can you tell us about your meeting? How did it go?
Well, I thought it was a great meeting. It was productive. It was frank. It was maybe even a little uncomfortable at moments, but we're all adults, and I was very pleased. I asked a lot of tough questions. He had all the right answers, and more importantly, I believed him. You know, a lot of people are trained to give good answers, but you don't always believe him. I believed Pete, looking him eyeball to eyeball, talking to his wife a little bit. But also, you know, in preparation for that and since, I've looked at a lot of the allegations and who the allegations are coming from, and more importantly, the lack of names associated with these allegations and faces. And I'm just more convinced that this has been more of a smear campaign with a lot of exaggeration. And Pete and I may have some disagreements on a policy issue or two, but by and large, I like him a lot. I like what he brings to the fight, and it is a fight. I'm glad that he's hanging in there and that the president wants him to hang in there, because I think some things are worth fighting for. And this is obviously Department of Defense and Secretary of Defense is a very, very important position in any administration, but particularly at a time when the world is on fire, American leadership is in high demand. And I think Pete's the kind of leader we need.
So true. And I know that you've been on record already, Senator, that you were quoted that you're probably likely to vote for confirmation, but that would be barring any more surprises. How confident are you that there won't be anything else that pops up? I know the smear campaign is in full mode, and certainly these unnamed, informants keep coming forward. But do you expect that there will be more pop-ups concerning this confirmation?
Well, it's interesting because clearly over the course of time, Democrats have, and the left have become more aggressive in terms of smear campaigns. You know, there was the Brett Kavanaugh one, which was a single person. She came forward, and revealed herself. But they've sort of taken this tactic now, where you find that a few things, exaggerate them, pile on, if you will, over the course of time. So do I expect that? Sure, there very well could be. But one of the most important questions, maybe the most important question I asked Pete was, are there any surprises? Because in our business, surprises kill you. You know, Pete not having experience in politics, God love him. And he said, we've racked our brains, have thought through it, can't think of anything else that could come up that, unless somebody makes something up. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But for now, I think Pete, he's doing the right thing. I will say this, Pete, eyeball to eyeball, pretty humble guy. I mean, he is kind of in awe of all of this opportunity that's been presented to him. And for a guy that's been around the world, that has his own celebrity, I was impressed with that.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, are there any other nominees who could face an uphill battle in getting confirmed, in your opinion?
Oh, I think there probably are some. We're already hearing, names of concern. Tulsi Gabbard comes up a lot. Of course, RFK Jr. And what's interesting about those two in particular is because not very many weeks ago they were Democrats. That probably concerns some Republicans more than a lot of other things. But that doesn't seem to be the issue that's holding people up so much as previous statements and whatnot. And I think one of the things I would just really urge people to think about when they look at these names and they look at people who have a different history, perhaps, than the traditional nominee for a particular office. We elected a person with a different background than the traditional person running for office. And the American people wanted that. They want the disruptors.
So true.
RFK Jr. as an opiner is different probably than as a cabinet secretary, but he still brings his life's experience and that philosophy. Same with Tulsi. I know Tulsi. We were classmates in Congress together, did some things together, worked on policies together, and sure, her and I disagree on a few things here and there, and maybe there's some concerning things she's said in the past, much like in Pete's book. But when you're now, a nominee, or at least being floated as a nominee for an office with very specific responsibility, I think you have to give people's life's experience more credit than a lot of people do. A lot of times people look at things in a very through a binary lens, right? And so these are people I trust, that I love, that have proven themselves to be leaders, thought leaders, and Donald Trump trusts them, and I think we ought to trust all of them.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.